Greetings. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with OVX 777. This week, we read the chapter 9, the mystical Kabbalah, the 4 worlds, and the 10 Sephirah. She covered a lot in this chapter, a lot in this book that should serve to answer many of the questions that you might have as far as
This is TK Trav.
Holy shit. How many? How many licks does it take till you get to the... She covered a lot of things in this chapter as far as really how ceremonial magic works. She is someone who comes from a background of ceremonial magic. And really, when you study her work, you'll see that this isn't even the pinnacle of her understanding. She wrote this 20 years after the cosmic doctrine. So just imagine, she was kind of being like Ophiel. We know that in Ophiel's books, if you know a little bit about the occult, you can tell he's kind of holding back a lot because he's trying to be gentle and really ease a beginner in. Well, when I first read this book, I'm thinking, man, this must be like her greatest work. She must be super advanced, not realizing that she actually wrote this to tone down her previous work. This woman is truly a genius, inspired and in contact with what she's talking about.
Oh man, it's dream time. I gotta put on the fruity pebble scent.
Uh-oh. Always on hand.
Exactly.
And it would make sense, especially since one of the things that were mentioned is accessing symbols. And sometimes those symbols don't just have to be visual, but also olfactory. As a matter of fact, no, I'm getting mystical Kabbalah and the Gold Book kind of mixed together there.
Same information.
I'm
Same
trying to
information.
figure out what my book is. So many books.
You said you're trying to figure out what the Gold Book is?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm looking for it. I'm like, I got so many books, bro. I'm like, yo.
Oh, man. I thought you knew what that one was, Veronica.
No, I have it. I have it in the you know, I got my bookshelf. You see my bookshelf. It's like it's looking like yours, actually.
Thank you, Alora, for typing it in the chat.
Oh man, I remember the track record.
Yeah,
Good
right,
job,
right.
Laura.
That's what I mean.
We did it. You have mastered the virtue of being silent.
I think after we finish mystical Kabbalah, we should probably jump straight into this. I think so.
You will be the sole reason why my bookshelf, my bookshelf is full, but my book collection will grow at this point. Help me achieve a level of proficiency. Really, I mean, besides NLP, not even NLP, copywriting stuff exclusively, like besides that, your course has helped me achieve a level like that anything is possible. And more so, anything is possible. Like it's accessible at any time. If I get tripped up, I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm like, oh wait, bro, I could just do X. I could just do this exercise. Like, man, just go reach for it.
Yes. Yes. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think that if more of us have the resources to push through our obstacles, we would literally have less suffering in this world. I mean, like I said, I had a really hard past couple of weeks, really difficult. Now, I'm not going to bring that with me on camera because I know that it's temporary and it serves a purpose. When you're able to really reframe your mind, like people always talk about the quote of Bobby Hemmett and the Pete Soda. He was on the same thing, but I don't think most people understood that he was talking about reframing. When you really understand what reframing is all about, you don't have to suffer. You don't have to, man.
You said earlier, like, I
Wait,
remember.
think, yeah, go
Go ahead.
ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, you go ahead because I think I wrote it down some notes here about that too.
There was a part early in the live stream you were talking about karma, and or it's like you're reading a book quote like once a person they have to be above karma or something like that. But it went to show like in my head the balance between was it Zadkiel and Ratio, to where if you were, of course you're a Prakriti, so like if anything you're stuck with Zadkiel your whole life at best. And that really controls all your karma. And the only way out is really like the other polarity you have to unite, the other gatekeeper that you have to distract is ratio, which is like the one of intuition. Like that's the way out, or that's the corresponding force. So once we start doing these practices, such as those given in the inner light activation system, eventually having, like you said, being a puppet of your higher essence, then like there's nothing else to do at that point.
Really, and that's what you figure out when you get to that level, that there's nothing else to do. Everything to be done is below the level of Ratziel and Zadkiel and all that. And you said distracting the gatekeepers. I think of maybe on one level paying them off so that you can, maybe earning enough so that eventually you can pay them and transcend them, or even reabsorbing them.
Oh, I know who talks about that. Mr. Michael Ford. But no, man, he's really talking about being a spooky vampire.
I'm telling you.
Go ahead.
When you had the ritual where I had to make the archangel vessels and smash them to break my allegiance with Christianity, that was probably the scariest ritual I have ever read about. Because at that time, Christian, God sends his angels to protect us all. And if they see me smashing a cup that's meant to symbolize them, who's going to protect me?
Uh-oh. Who said they weren't protecting you in the first place? Who said they were there? Who are you?
Looks like we have been using the meta model this whole time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what did Swami Niranjananda say about Gyan Yoga? He says that most people assume that Gyan Yoga is questioning, inquiry. He says that most people assume that Gyan Yoga is, who am I? What am I? I'm not this. I'm not that. Sounds a lot like the meta model, because they also say the meta model isn't just asking questions arbitrarily. You're looking within and you're trying to recover what has been ignored.
Yeah. I can't wait for that shadow work course. I just did a practice session with a super secret guru that totally has never been on the streams before. We were practicing trading, and I realized I had like the past couple of days, my back has been getting like super tense. I haven't had it since I first started messing with NLP. And so we're on the charts today, and I was having a difficult time with the new software. And I realized that like my the state of me not knowing what to do with something specific threw my body in a state of tension. And then I kind of retraced the memory. It was like starts happening my back shoulders. And then I got the sudden flash of memory of me sitting down as a kid, like trying to figure out my homework while my parents are standing over my shoulders.
Yes.
Yo, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I've been because that's like trigger point work that I do in massage. Like, well, and also that's been part of my well, no, I'll stick to the places in the body part first. Yeah, like I've been I've had myself and others notice that when you hit a certain point that's been sore, a very specific memory will come up of either a situation that happens to you or someone around you that affected you in a certain way. And so like a trigger point is a point on the body that feels like a knot, but it refers to a different place in the body, which is where it had originally started. So I may be holding down on this trigger point, but whatever part of that body that trigger point is referring to is where the pain originally started. And so myself and a lot of people will get memories or flashes of color or different experiences that have an emotional attachment to them, that then connects them to this part of their body and another part. And once that's released, that's where you get change. That's where you get like a whole, even like just a vibe change of the person.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it beautiful how something non-physical can have a physical result, not even intentionally? Like, of course, I can think hand clench, but what's happening when I'm not thinking hand clench? I'm thinking something else, and that hand balls up, right? Unconscious influence. And notice what Maestro said that was very key. He said that the tension in his back, and he had a vision of studying or doing homework and having that difficulty, and it was happening at that point. This is one of the things that you do when you're trying to analyze your process. I was thinking to myself, whenever I try to make pre-recorded videos, I get extremely anxious. So I don't make them as much anymore. I mostly just do live streams. And I had to sit down and think, what the heck? Because here's what I've been doing, man. I've just been breaking down everything that's given me a problem. I've been tackling head on everything that's been frustrating me. That's why it's been so difficult. So I'm thinking, why is it that when I try to do these videos, I just don't want to do it? You know, and I start getting these feelings in my body and my head, and it's just, and then I run away and do something else to self-pacify or change the subject, whatever. Well, put myself into trance. I talked it out because I know that's my process. I know that I'm doing magical work when I'm walking around in the circles and I'm talking to myself. Those are key symbols to my subconscious mind that you are in a trance and you are now healing yourself. And no matter what you say or think is going to work in your favor. So as I'm doing that, I had a vision of when I used to do video editing, and I loved it. And I'm noticing a pattern here. I do something so much and I love it, and then it makes me stressed out, and then I jump to something else. I loved editing videos. I learned the software on my own. I was learning the techniques on YouTube, making some amazing stuff. People were impressed, like, whoa, how'd you do that? But what happened was these local rappers got a hold of my talent, and they're like, whoa, you can make rap videos for me. And at first I'm like, cool. But then I realized these Negroes don't like to pay. And number two, they like to demand more than what they're offering. So I found myself constantly stressed out doing work that I no longer enjoyed, frustrated, making these videos for these people who didn't even appreciate it, number one. And number two, didn't know how to market themselves. So no one was going to see my work but like them and 10 of their friends, right? I realized that the reason I don't make the videos like that anymore is because I'm having flashbacks to that unhealed trauma that I'd never addressed. When I took care of that, I've been on my computer all day long.
Man.
Yeah, man. That trauma that you just mentioned right there, Maestro, that was one of the biggest ones for me.
Some the shows to show like how your like nadis and stuff get closed. I'm gonna let the expert speak. Alora, speak. Speak, Alora.
Damn.
Oh,
She's speaking to us from the unconscious now.
all right,
That's like that's how you call it in Chinese medicine. We call it stagnation. Kind of like what Maestro has right now. We call it like a liver chi stagnation. It's kind of like liver is one of the big fat channels that we have in the body. And I know that a lot of people like, what the hell are you talking about with like chi and all this stuff, right? But in Chinese medicine, we have paths, like, you know, like layers, like chakras. Let's say just same concept, but not the same. So when you have certain stagnation, it means that your energy is being kind of like Laura say, it's stagnated in certain points. So for certain people, their stagnation of energy is going to stay in the stomach. Not everybody's going to be the same. Certain people is going to reflect it in the chest. Some people is going to reflect it on the head. Now, where in the head, it could be frontal headache, it could be dorsal headache, it could be lateral headache. And some people will reflect it in the dorsal in the back. Like, I think that's what happened to Maestro. So some people, you know, when some people get all pissed off, they get angry or they get emotional or they're crying or something. And the first thing that they say, well, I have a such headache for what happened for the arguments I had last night. Or I have chest pains because I feel that something with the argument with my husband gets me these painful emotions. And sometimes people, when they're very severe, anxious or stressful, they have these like nauseous on their stomach, right? Some people even have shivering legs, you know, when they're afraid or something, right? So there's some reflections on what we call, it's just one form that we call it like a liver, but that doesn't mean that you're actually organ liver. It's like off balance.
not yet.
But it's kind of like these balances that are not being clear, and that reflects a disconnection between their mind and your body itself.
Or maybe we can say the physical and the etheric body.
Yes, exactly. Because ethereal body for Chinese medicine is the liver, it's the liver itself. Ethereal body, it's liver in our medicine. So different names, but the same systems, like you're saying, like you're constantly saying, is the same concepts. Excuse me. But it does happen like that, you know, like it's certain emotions. Now, if you're talking about some in biological perspective, is, you know, it's something in your mind or something in your brain might be causing certain effects in a specific organs, perhaps I would say. Let's say, for example, is severe stress, the most popular one. You're going to end up releasing cortisol, which, you know, it creates these palpitations in your heart. Just an example like that, you can correlate between the biological perspective of the body. But energetically, it also will reflect between the ethereal, like you're saying, and the physical body itself. So it's quite interesting how these systems work. Now, in order for you to release such situations in the Eastern medicine, you can actually do some forms of Tai Chi's, Qigongs. I mean, and Laura, it's fully aware of it. So martial arts can help you out. But martial arts, it doesn't mean like you're going to go in there and look like, what's his name? Mr. Miyagi and there, right? With all these famous movies up there, like I'm going to go in a competition and I'm going to kick your ass. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that. And martial arts does not work like that. So get that stuff out of your head. When we're talking about martial arts, we're talking about movements on the bodies. You know what I mean? feeling your actually energy and feeling other people's energies and knowing how to balance those energies. That's the actually true of
Uh-oh.
martial arts.
Uh-oh.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I just wanted to say that, including yoga is the same concept as well. I mean, the hatha yogas, right? What you guys call hatha yoga doesn't mean that you're going to have your yogi pants and your ugly ass and they're all sweating in the back of the ass with your bra and they're like, oh my God, look at me, I'm doing yoga. I hate that shit, bro. Like, seriously, I hate that. But anyway, yoga, it is, you know, it's like, I don't have to explain that to you. By now, you should know that what yoga is all about. It's all about calming the mind itself and calming your body and balance your body while your mind is calm, while your brain is calm. And then you can do crazy, amazing poses up there, like amazing poses, because you have a very successful relaxation brain or calming your mind. Yeah.
I kind of want to add on to piggyback on what you were saying about that, especially with the martial arts and then the pain in the body and emotional, really connecting to ethereal, etheric self. Because I think so often that if we take action, some type of connection, or in some type of healing. And so I want to give an example. There's this person who's a fighter and stuff, and they have an identity that they've built up about themselves, right? They have a very traumatic past, in particular with men, and so they've built their alpha female. And so immediately when you meet them, I train because this makes me feel stronger and empowered, and I have a lot of rage, so I'm going to get it out. Here's what's interesting about this person, right? They have really bad hip issues, stuff that they could have prevented and taken care of, but they don't, because every time, and this is what I've noticed, that every time they complain about the pain, they add on, I'm just a tank. It's because I'm built like this. So they're allowing physical limitations and pain be a part of their everyday existence because it fits the archetype that they are convinced that they have to keep in order to be strong or in order to be an independent person. And this person is doing martial arts, right? They're eating healthy, this kind of stuff, but their mentality is so glued to this archetype that even within these healthy activities that they're doing, they are remaining stuck. They're not a tank, they are stuck. And so it's really key that if we are, and I think this goes as practitioners as well, like we read these yoga texts, we do this kind of stuff, and then we go I know, but you know,
I already know all that.
Yeah, I already know this, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, dude, this is right when you're about to say that, check yourself and see how often you have made that habit your part of your reality. What archetype are you trying to play to here?
Just read over the page again when I catch myself doing that.
Yeah.
I had to do that with meditation for myself, because I was doing like the lame-o not meditating meditation, you know, where I'm not focused. It's like, gotta start it again, you know, like that's part of discipline, right? Discipline is also accepting the difficulty of it.
So you've got discipline. What I've come to learn about discipline is that, okay, what I learned from the manual and books like that, nobody really gives a fuck about me. We give a fuck about ourselves. We're selfish, right? It's okay. It's okay. So when I'm talking with somebody, it's more important for me to understand what it is they want than it is for me to try to make a point. Because I used to be like, I got to make a point, you know, talking over people or just being stubborn about an argument. As long as I say what I got to say, then I'm good. That actually turns people off and it closes rapport. Well, the same thing happens with the conversation between your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. If something or someone is resistant, then you have to be more indirect in order to get through. Same thing with your conscious and unconscious mind. So if there is resistance to meditation, and if there's a part of ourselves that says, I already know all that, our first instinct is to fight it and discipline it, right? But what if that part of us doesn't like being tied up and spanked with a blindfold on? What if that part of us wants to be dominant? Well, now we're going to have a conversation, right? Either we're going to have to take turns or somebody's going to have to understand their place. So to the same way that we personify and anthropomorphize entities and concepts, we do that because it's easier for us to communicate with things that look like us. Again, God made man in his own image. Man made God in his own image. We're selfish, or rather, that's the pattern of Prakriti, right? So what we do when we approach our unconscious mind is we find a way to grab a hold of it and turn it into something that we can converse with. And instead of trying to force it, like those older occultists would try to force the demons with threats of burning their sigil, instead of doing that, let's have a conversation. I know, or say, imagine like you're arguing with somebody. If you just attack them and they attack you, nothing positive is coming out of this. But if you approach that person maturely and say, I know that there's something that you want and you're doing this based on your own good intentions. If we can kind of see eye to eye, maybe we can compromise. I'm willing to compromise because I know that you want what's best for me and I want what's best for you. So what we find that is, if you talk to your unconscious mind or that part of your unconscious mind that's causing you some turbulence, it might not understand what you're trying to do, or you might not try to understand what it's trying to do. So maybe if you can expand the map and explore a few different options and work together, maybe you both can come to something that neither of you saw. And this is where the beauty of expanding that map comes from, because now there's more options.
Right. Yeah, it's about seeing.
That's discipline.
Seeing all that's around. That's expanding your availability too. Like that's really expanding. When you expand awareness, you expand your potential. When you expand your potential, you expand self. Right? Everything that's happening. Yeah.
Man.
The woman with the roses, Travis. We got to look it up. The woman with the roses.
I think she done found me, because ain't no way in hell I read this book so many damn times and actually understand it fluently. No, she's visiting me. That's how it always is. The girls pin me down and they say, you're mine. And I'm like, okay, I'll pretend to resist.
It's like, oh no.
What did I do to get in this situation?
Oh, shucks.
I can't breathe. The unfortunate has not approached me like that, for the record. She's always been very professional. I think she's far past any type of desires like that.
Yeah. I look at her biography. Shit. She ain't not like that. Sorry to disappoint you guys.
In our channeling sessions, she's rolled her eyes at me many times.
I wonder, I'm an A student. I'm like, fuck, if I am her student, I probably would be a D student. I'm like, shit. I can picture the own fortune slapping me. You're giving me a D. Time to get an A.
Giving me the D.
And I'm an A student. I'm like, shit. I see her and I'm reading her biography and everything. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna get a D through her.
Let's turn that D to the A.
I know.
Now we're pushing P.
Mm.
I'm hip. I listen to the hip hop songs.
And I'm hip. I know all the youngster songs nowadays. I know y'all be pushing P.
Pushing P.
Oh.
I'm an A student pushing B.
And I gotta think. I mean, this is all just a meeting. You know, at some other point, some part of us at some, you know, various points in physical timeline, we've like those parts of us have met and conversed and associated. It's like it's almost belittling to say thank y'all, but there's just like, I mean, shit. All that's left is like the next chapter.
You know, these books, they are like these elementals. The more time we spend in them, the more they come to life. But the thing is, like what Dion Fortune said, because she's so clever, what she does, she puts it out there and then talks about it as if she's not talking about that. She's being abstract with all of our hard heads. She mentioned about a sigil or a glyph that after many occult students have poured into it, there's a wealth of knowledge that can be unlocked with the key. And we're not realizing that we're actually doing dharana. As you focus on these words and fill your entire attention on this book, which is one sigil, right?
Ooh.
It starts to unveil certain things. Hell, you might start to hear whispers and thoughts that may have been spoken aloud by previous readers. Damn, Trav, I was just thinking about that earlier today. Well, maybe I heard it from you.
There was I talked to somebody some months ago. I was like, oh, like I wanted to. I mean, I definitely have to get on my book writing, but I wanted to write an occult book. But I was like, I want to get to the stage of a master, so I could write a good occult book. I don't know, somebody who happened here was like, oh man, you're trying to do that too. I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z. But I was like, the places we were coming from were entirely different. And then I kind of broke it down. I was like, yeah, but you know, you got to get yourself on point to where like you're a vessel for this. So if you're just writing, I mean, there's probably dozens of occult PDFs I have of people who just wrote their own shit after maybe like seeing a thumbnail on it or something.
Right. And you know, I've been guilty of that in the past, like seeing something real quick and I know about that. Let me go talk about it. Like we've all done it.
Mm-hmm.
But some people don't leave that stage, and that's what's misleading. I noticed that some of y'all also are starting to watch your words. And I know for me, that was a side effect of learning NLP. So I think for my brain, that if that's how I know that I'm learning NLP, is that I'm being very careful with the words that I select. I hear that y'all are doing that too. So I think unconsciously, you're picking up on this stuff really fast. And I want to say this also. All of us here are teachers, right? Alora, you go out there and you teach those kids, and you teach those grown-up kids who don't know how to listen, right? Maestro, you're a teacher, obviously, a genius. Veronica, you're a teacher, right? Tashika, you teach and you try to teach the hard heads who ain't listening either. That might be a feminine trait.
Prakriti.
Jason, excuse me.
The Prakriti.
I'm fighting that part, Trev. I'm like, fuck them. I want to be in my own world all the time. That hey.
You got plenty to give. My brother remembered everything you said about that crypto. We all have this inherent spark of wanting to help the people in our world become better. The same way that the magician has his duty to help the elementals around him evolve. Like that, we came with that spark. We didn't learn that from YouTube. We didn't learn that from a book. We didn't learn it from Bobby Hemmett. We all arrived here and incarnated with that spark to evolve the other sparks. Prakriti she's not going anywhere. She will forever be her. She's the mama. She's the womb that develops the child. She's developing the child. But what she doesn't understand that one day that baby's got to go. Have y'all ever seen them cases where like the mother will, pretty much keep the child forever? Y'all ever seen that before? It'll be a grown-up adult, but she's got such a grasp on its brain that it won't want to leave. That's Prakriti when she's gone overboard. See, the tree of life is about balance. It's not good or evil. When there's imbalance, that means the rest of the spheres have to shift to accommodate. So we're talking about the Gibura Chesed. This is when abundance becomes too much. It becomes a cancer. When the masculine aspect doesn't arrive to take the child to the next level, that abundance now becomes a cancer and locks him in, right? So it's going to take the burner, right? Kamael, Gibura, to come and smash that form that's been developing. But all that could have been avoided if she were to deal with her own unconscious trauma that causes her to keep that child a prisoner. That's why Prakriti is the one who endures the karma.
Yeah, because, when we talk about Prakriti, we also have to remember that she's insentient. She doesn't have a consciousness. It's Purusha that has the consciousness. So it's not even like Prakriti is just functioning. It's really us who have this consciousness, right? It's the sentient beings that really are the ones that can wield both ways when it comes to creating separation or being sucked into it. Like we are the children that are choosing to either stay the children or to move out. Okay.
I like the way that you reframe that. And that is a better way to see it, I think. Because once again, it, like you said, Prakriti is not sentient, but it's Buddhi. It's the child who is the best of both worlds. He's matter and consciousness. So you're right. The burden falls upon the child to liberate the family. Right? Generational curses. They're called generational curses because those who came before you were bound to that curse. So you can't expect them. I'm not mad at my parents. I don't hate my parents. I used to be. I don't anymore because I understand now. Before I was seeing it from a child's perspective. They're being mean to me. But now I get it. They are humans and they had intentions for good. I didn't understand that. That's why I keep saying there are no enemies. There's nobody here that's worth reincarnating for. Nobody. Ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no poon or peen good enough to make you want to re-manifest. I'm telling you.
Wait, Trav, I want to reincarnate and have fivesomes.
But like, even if there is, right, that's all coming from you. Like, you're the one that's seeing these people or these things that way. It's not them. And I think that's the point that you're saying, Trav. At least that's what I'm picking up off, is that you don't want to reincarnate for someone else because that's just you externalizing your own projection.
Now check this out. Now I'll give credit where it's due. Claire Nocti is another female genius. And I point out that she's a female because, like I said, lately I've been surrounded in feminine genius. Saraswati, right? Yeah. Saraswati energy been around hard. But basically, look at the movie like Ghost. and like those other love stories where the person's so in love that when he dies, he doesn't go, he stays to linger around his loved ones, right? And we get all emotional, like, oh, look at how strong their love is. No, you are
Garbo.
choosing.
Garbo.
That's what you're choosing to do. And the other person doesn't even see you. At best, they might feel you when you try to hug them. Oh, he's here. That's the best you're going to get. But you're the one that chose to stay here and suffer something that isn't even real. No, sir.
What's an interesting concept about that, though, right, is that we talk about how this isn't our only manifestation, right? So in the dense realm, when we talk about reincarnation, we often think, oh, if I don't get reincarnated as a human, then I'm good. But we also forget that there's also different sheaths, right? There's different bodies of which we exist on. So Patrick Swayze may not have been, or that's his name, right? Patrick Swayze, I think that's his name. Yeah. Ghost, right? He might have reincarnated as an etheric, as a type of sheath, as an emotional sheath that couldn't leave Demi Moore, right? Or the chick, because that was their karma that had to be exhausted.
Indeed. Interesting side note. I like to think about this. What if he actually reincarnated as a fly, but because his consciousness was so advanced, he saw himself as he was, but the fly just happened to be traveling around everywhere, right?
Oh, right? You don't
like
know
what Fortune was saying. Like what Dion Fortune was saying, like when you truly integrate with that higher level, this body is a puppet. I am not this. I choose what this does. Now I'm still learning, like we all are, but this thing doesn't determine reality for me. I determine reality for it. This thing used to determine reality for me. It had to accept that it doesn't know enough to drive the boat. Yeah. And we're all okay.
That's what I've been sitting with that in the concept and time again recently. Like the time, how time is manifest only after the moment itself is manifested. That, like time follows that, because time is the limit setter. It is the thing that sets the limit to the manifestation that's happening in the physical realm. That's how we can have, that's why you can't create yogurt from a wooden spoon, right? It's the limitations. Time and space provide those limitations, but those things have to be existing in the material realm for those limitations to even be set. So you, as the manifestor, are creating these things, and you're actually setting up these events to happen according to the time. But if we keep running thinking that we have to catch time, we're never to be in charge. We're never going to be actually able to catch the flow state of what we're trying to bring into this. And that goes along same with the body. The body responds to our emotional well-being on that most deep cellular level. Like I've been having meditations recently where certain colors have been coming up that I've realized I've carried with me throughout lifetimes. Certain colors are creating emotional responses, and my body is reacting to these colors, which is why I'm even attracted to certain patterns or certain ways that things are advertised. It has to do with the colors and the way how they're organized on the page that I've carried with me, like subtle levels.
And those are the levels that really matter. We think they're insignificant, but those are the levels that cause everything else to happen. And just think, you see those colors, like you said about time, right? Time happens and then we're aware of it, which by default, we're not driving the ship. We're in the passenger seat just off of that alone. But look at what happened there with that process, because I'm all about tracking process now. This is how we master ourselves. You see that color and you have an affinity for it. And then you think to yourself, this is my favorite color. But that was there before you decided that. This is the ego. It swears that it's doing stuff. No, you're just responding to what's already present.
So you're saying that black My favorite color is black. Is saying that it's been like that.
Yeah. And then you came to the realization of it later.
Oh shit.
As a kid, I hated the colors of orange and red mixed together. I would always feel nauseous. And then one day I happened to be sick. And so I was in my bed watching it's a cartoon that it only had one season. It was a League of Super Evil. And they try to, those like pizza companies say 5 minutes or less, your order's free. So they basically like kept trying to deter him so they could get free pizza. And they set off a cheese bomb, and it was all orange and red. And as soon as that went off on my TV screen, I ran to the bathroom and threw up.
Oh, wow. I wonder what is locked inside to cause that reaction.
I think something similar happened
It's a
to us in
mystery.
a past life, Maestro, because like Doritos make me sick because of that orange reddish. Yeah.
There's something to that. See, I used to hate ramen, and memory uncovered, because like my son wanted ramen, so I have a pack of ramen in there, and I was just so hesitant to eat it. Not so much like I'm above ramen, because I had some the other day, but I had to wonder like what something makes me queasy to my stomach, and I remembered many years ago, I was young. My parents we had to stay at my grandma's house. And my aunt was in charge of taking care of us, and she was cooking ramen for us. But she got distracted or whatever, and she boiled the pack of noodles for too long. Do you know what the texture of those noodles are when you boil them for too long? They swell up and get fat. They're really slimy and soggy. And she just put it in a bowl and put the seasoning on it and demanded that we eat it because we don't waste food here. It was the most nauseating experience of my life. After that, I can't do ramen. I can't, especially the chicken, because that's what it was. So after understanding that, I had to go back into my mind and replace that image with the delicious ramen that I made with my son. And it was good.
You know what's interesting? As you were telling that story, a flashback for me came up when you were talking about the fat noodles of the ramen.
Yeah.
And I realized I always loved the fat noodles because they reminded me of an episode of the Addams Family, when they're all eating dinner and when the noodles tries running away from Porky and he like smacks it and then they eat it and they're like, that's good, child. It's always good to play with your food. And I always like loved the Addams Family. So that's interesting how like your memory of like the fat soggy noodle provided pleasure for me, because I was like, ha.
Just
Fat soggy
like
noodle provided pleasure.
by saying, oh damn, what did Laura mess with? But there was it was an older memory that when you said like, because you linked the feeling of queasiness back to the noodles, and then I like while you were talking, I was like, oh, why do I hate that color? Then I remembered it was and I still don't eat them till this day. The hot Cheetos, but the limon flavor. I remember eating those.
Yeah.
I remember eating those at the daycare. Those were the colors on the bag. I remember eating those at my daycare and then like running around and drinking. I don't even drink, like I didn't drink white milk for years either, but that was like a little bit, that wasn't the color, so I was fine. But I drank a lot of milk and I was running around outside and threw up.
Traumatizing.
You guys gonna hear traumatizing? My grandmother used to force me to eat, the cow in Central and South America, they tend to eat the cow, but like the tongue of the cow, or the brain.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, you're gonna become more smarter, right? and she's like that if you eat the brain yo, I swear to God, she was trying to make it with tomato sauce, with like, I don't know, onions. It's just
Waves of nausea are flowing through my body right now.
the tofu.
Sounds tasty to
You guys
me.
know, tofu is similar taste, like that glossy, crunchy type of thing.
I like tofu.
Well, that's vegetarian, but when you're looking at an actual texture of a brain, I'm not sure you want to go for that one, Travis. You can try though. I mean, these days everybody eats everything, right? But no, I hate it. I don't like it. I just don't even want to look at it. Like,
Try
don't
it
buy.
crispy.
I'll call
No,
my
I
Chris, see if she'll give me some
no,
bread.
did not work either.
Hey. PG-13.
We're talking about the brain of the cow that can be eaten with the tongue.
There's a little
Yeah.
NLP going on
All
here.
right. Yeah, that's
So listen,
13
pay
years.
attention to the science here. This is what's happening. Notice what I said. Okay, we've entered into a new realm, right? With this shadow work stuff, we're bridging that gap between conscious and unconscious. All right. I don't think it's dangerous, but I would just be aware, because what I'm noticing is that since the barrier is so close together, it's easier for me to dip in and get a little scoop. You get me? Like just having that conversation with that person who I thought was an enemy, but it's now a friend. Even in our conversation, he would say things that were triggering memories, right? He didn't know about my drawing and da-da-da-da, but the fact that he was talking about anime. We have conversations with people all the time, but we have different levels of listening. Some of us don't listen. We just wait for them to shut up so we can talk. Then we have some people who listen just enough to take the conversation. Then we have others who listen just enough to be able to manipulate the conversation. But then we have others who are able to listen deeply to what the person's actually saying. And then there's another person who can listen and hear their reflection. That's the level that I think that we touch on when we start talking about this.
So somebody else's language
agree.
can be
And
a
you know-
reflection from your microcosmic reality.
Yes. This stuff is shared. It is not individual.
Yep. And what's interesting is that when you listen and you can see a reflection, that other person starts becoming the reflection. Like they start mirroring
Yep.
you as like you're doing it. They're all of a sudden you assume leadership position, like without even trying, just by reflecting, because they work on being because they are the reflection.
We're approaching beta territory. Abort.
We tread carefully. We tread carefully. We tread carefully. It's fine. It's fine. We tread carefully. But notice in that process, is it for you, since you're at a higher level of awareness, it's conscious, but is mirroring a conscious activity or an unconscious activity?
I would say unconscious.
It's totally unconscious. So you are tapping into something deep to cause the other person to begin to mirror you.
Agreed. Yep. Well, because then you get their real motives, right? Or where they're, because I think too, one of the things that you mentioned, and I was trying to fit into this, but I've also noticed that some people listen so they can maybe not take over the conversation, but there's a lot of people who want to feel confirmed in a conversation. Okay. Like they may not even be really interested in the conversation, but they need to have confirmation of their identity within that conversation. So I've noticed that too, and I'm trying to figure out like which one would that be, because there maybe the ones who, well, I guess it could play out in any of the situations, right? Because we're always looking for affirmation from each other. So like maybe that is maybe that's something that can be played all around the board. But I've noticed, like there'll be certain people that try to pick up on what you say, and then they'll try to read the words coming from your mouth as you're saying it. Have you had people do that to you? Like they'll try to.
Yeah, shit, I've done that.
Yeah. And so like, or they'll try to do that, or there'll be others that just try to put in like, this is what I'm about. This is where I insert my identity here, and you confirm that. Like it's almost like an unspoken need for confirmation that may exist actually outside of the conversation itself.
You mean you're carrying old baggage into new conversation? Reminds me of the lady that you were talking about who like punks people out or whatever, tries to act all tough, and then looks at you for validation, right? Unconscious behavior, right?
Right, Alora?
You're right.
Yo,
About to
right?
beat your
Yeah.
ass, right, Alora?
Yeah.
Fuck up. Right, Laura?
Yeah. I'll kill them, right? Right? I'm like, no.
We all adopt different roles, like dominance and submission. It isn't like no one is one thing. Uh-oh, I think there's a lag. Laura's in the unconscious again.
You upside down.
I am?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Am I back? Oh. Am I still here? Wait, where's Veronica?
She's in the unconscious.
She's hidden. She's in a village of the hidden grass. She's with the Orochimaru.
Guys,
Get you somebody who looks at you the way that puppy looks at Veronica's grass.
Mr. Miyagi. I'm with Mr. Miyagi, guys. Let me just get to my Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, everyone, we're officially becoming more subtle, so it's hard for us to start keeping our material reflections here, but we're going to try. We're going to try to keep our sensor forms present. Okay, but am I back?
You're backish. My neck, my back.
What's good, people?
What up, Darcy? Outlaw down the road.
What up?
Man,
Peace.
sounds like a great combo going on in here.
Yes, yes.
The usual, bro. The usual. You know how that
Yeah.
goes in the game, man.
For sure, for sure. Trav, you get my message the other day, man?
I didn't listen to the voice notes at the time.
Oh,
No.
okay, bro. It was a lot. I'm sorry, bro.
But I did get the text part though. That was really dope.
Yeah, man. It was there's a lot of stuff going over here, bro. I had a serious breakthrough. I swear. I didn't even know what the fuck was going on. But I had a flash while I was sitting in here doing contemplation. Because I had been trying to see the Kabbalah at work in my own mind. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to actually see the process. Even though we're going through the process all the time, I wanted to actually look at it and see what it looked like, to see a sphere and then like the path. And I wanted to see what that looked like. So I had this flash of, I can't even tell you what it was, but it was a thought. And it was like a vision, actually. It was like a flash really fast. But it was a lot of things that I could see in that flash. And then there was so much like thought that came from that. And it just dawned on me at that moment. It was like, oh shit, I just fucking entered the Kabbalah. You know what I mean? I was like, oh shit, the door just opened for me right then. You know what I mean? So it's been like, it's fucking crazy, bro. Like, I don't know if anybody else has went through that. But and maybe I'll understand it better than I do, you know, because I can understand the words and all of that, but I wanted to see it in action. And I finally got a chance to do that, man. I just wanted to share that. That shit was crazy.
Awesome. Awesome. Something is really shifting out here.
Is it the shift? I've been watching videos since 2017 talking about the great shift. They just pushed it back each time. Is this it? Is this finally the shift?
Or what if that's a pattern of Prakriti? There's a shift like every so often.
Wow.
Human becoming.
Wait, so stop. You said that you seen like a spark happening, and then sorry, can you again for me?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I kind of missed on what you said.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, it was a lot. What happened was I was sitting here and I was thinking about something totally different, right? And I was sitting here and I was contemplating, you know, whatever it was, because both thoughts are gone. I don't even know what it was, but all I know is that when I was sitting here and I was thinking about whatever I was thinking about, a flash of a thought or something just completely took over my mind, right? It was like complete, it was like whatever I was thinking about before was like, it was like this was so much brighter than that, right? But it was a quick flash. And in it, I could see a couple of things, right? But I couldn't really make it out. But then all of a sudden, all of this thought started to pour out about this thing that had flashed, right? And I had realized what happened was that one of the, I guess it was like maybe like one of the Sephiroth or something like connected in my brain, and then the path and everything that came from that was like the path, the thought stream that came from the flash was like the path. Now, I'm not saying I know what the fuck I'm doing, because this just happened and I just experienced it and I ain't been able to do it again. So I don't know what it was, but I do know that it was like it was a flash, almost like an inspiration. And then there was so much unpacked from that actually came out of nowhere. I didn't think about it. It just came. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. When you said that it poured out, where did it feel like it was pouring into?
Man, it felt like okay, let me see. Okay, like this is the way I can describe it. It was like I said, the inspiration was a flash. It was like started from small and then it went out real quick, like inside of my mind, and it just took over the entire thing. It was just like bright. And then it was like things started to almost like be pressed through. Like it was weird because it seemed like it was coming in from everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And it was just so much like information that I couldn't even decipher it. I didn't even know what the fuck I was looking for, but I just knew that it was connected to what just had flashed in my mind, because it changed my whole thought process completely. And then I lost it because I got excited because I realized what happened.
What was lost? What was lost? Because it sounds like if all that.
I'm saying I lost the stream. I can't tell you anything after that, because I kind of, when it happened I got excited, that's exactly when I picked the phone up and I started texting. So I didn't go all the way down it yet. You know what I'm saying? It was like, wow, I did it. You know what I'm saying? And now it's the work. Now I gotta work on doing it like more and more and more and more and more. But it was just like I was just so excited that it had happened, because I was wondering what it looked like, you know, and I wasn't even thinking about doing it inside of my body. I was just like, because I'm reading Dion Fortune's words and I'm like, I wonder what her thoughts look like. You know what I'm saying?
You know what that kind of reminds me of is a conversation we had a couple months back about possession and what really happens in possession, and how it's basically you can recognize when something's coming through because it's different from the pattern that you've been operating at. So you can be meditating and there are all these thoughts coming up or whatever, but then there's something different. And so that's kind of what that sounds like. Go ahead, Trav, take it away.
You can join in too. You've read the book as well.
All right,
I'm
you
almost
take it away.
Before it gets taken, that goes into Trav's recent, I don't know, I guess extrapolation on the shadow. And the only way out of these karmic cycles is with the flashes from Ratio, or the flashes from Kokuma. So like when stuff started, you described it as a flash. That's like literally a side effect or a function of Kokuma to give that inspiration of sorts to point you away from matter.
You guys ever play with those water and oil toys? You ever see one of those old toys back when kids were not, technologically addicted? We used to have those little cheap toys that had the oil and the water, and you turn it. The oil and the water would never mix, but it moved depending on what angle it was. And we think about electricity and how it moves from positive to negative. When the circuit is complete, when you disconnect the circuit, no kind of activity whatsoever. But as long as that plug is in the outlet, as long as the batteries are connected in the right way, there's going to be a circuit of force. Even if you take the batteries out, when you put them back in, it works like nothing ever stopped. And sometimes you have to throw a battery away and replace it with a new one, but it functions the same. You think this was the first time that this really happened that way for you?
Me?
Mhm.
No, I don't. But it was the first time that I seen it. It was the first time that I think I was actually looking for the process, and I actually saw the process play out. So it wasn't like an aha moment. It was, but it was like I was looking at the entire thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like an aha moment comes from nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It's like a flash, but it was like I saw the entire process play out. And that was cool, because it was like I guess I've never seen where inspiration came from, or actually even thought to even look at that in my own mind. But it was just really cool to see that entire process actively. You know, I was actively looking and I saw it. And that really gave me some, well, I mean, I always get I can't stop getting happy about shit. I mean, it's like I don't know why. I'm just, and I'll say this shit to my wife, and she just looking at me, because she just entered the path. My wife, she just started to, she had a breakdown the other night. What happened was, I'll give this story. It was my 10-year anniversary. And we made a pact a long time ago that we don't do gifts or any of that shit, or any of these man-made holidays or things. You know what I'm saying? We love each other every single day. But she was running around trying to do all of this stuff for me. And as a secret, but none of it worked. None of it panned out. None of it came together. And she just had a fucking breakdown. And when she had this breakdown, it was like she had just had enough. And she had realized that she'd been going through life, and she was thinking about who she was. And then she said she was just drawing a blank. Well, I told her that it was time for her to fill in that blank. So she has books, and she is reading, and she wants to take your shadow work class.
Oh. Okay. Awesome.
Good. Another initiation.
Man, I got so happy about that, bro, because I was thinking about that whole thing when we was talking last week about us carrying the karma for our family. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, man, I was like, damn, this is gonna be really good to have somebody this close to me to shoulder that weight. You know what I'm saying? And then I can take my relationship and put my relationship on the path. Because I was telling my old lady, I was like, man, our relationship has a life of its own. It's 10 years old now. It literally has hit another level. And that's what happened the other night, was she was trying to do stuff on that lower level, but the relationship ain't there no more. It has grown up, it has matured, and she can't approach it that way anymore because it don't fuck with that shit.
So it seems like you already see or can see your relationship as its own separate entity. Have you ever tried to converse with your relationship?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I have, because I see it like that. It's a thing. It's a baby. You know what I'm saying? When you put two people together, they make other things other than children. That relationship is a baby, and it needs to be nurtured. It needs to be, that's what you're doing when you are putting yourself aside and you're building this other vehicle, this other thing with this other person. Now it's not you anymore. It's like what they call it, Kim Ye. You know what I'm saying? It ain't Kanye or Kim, it's Kim Ye. You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole nother motherfucking thing now. So you have to treat it as such, because it takes on the whole life of its own. And that's what happened the other day with her trying to do all of that stuff, because she was trying to force a square peg in the round hole because the relationship just is not built on those principles. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh
You
yeah,
gotta-
it does.
Sounds like you got a download and she needs an update.
That's exactly what's happening, bro. Like
Mm.
that's what's happening. It's crazy because I mean she come up here and every time she leave, there's tears. But I told her that's the process, man. She gotta get her lightsaber and start trimming the fucking fat because she don't see nothing because all of that shit is in front of her, is in her face. Like she was talking about she don't see herself successful like other people. I was like, well, what makes you consider what they're doing successful? And she was like, I don't know. I was like, well, maybe you need to start there. Maybe you need to start defining reality for yourself and stop listening to or looking at other people to define what is successful for you. You might have a totally different opinion of what success is, but you never looked at it because you was looking through somebody else's eyes.
Peace. I had to jump in. I'm going through the same experience too with my wife. Me and my wife were married for 12 years too. And I'm signing up my wife and my sister for your class, Travis. So we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, we making way, bro. We making headway, bro. We're affecting people around us, bro. I feel this shit, bro. Like I literally am becoming a master of the fucking universe, bro. I am literally becoming He-Man like I wanted to when I was a child. Like I am really becoming He-Man, man. It's crazy, but I didn't even did some crazy shit with it. I'm trying to steal energy from the Matrix. Let me show y'all my sigils.
Who said you don't already?
I do, but I'm just trying to actively do it. So I'm trying to make everything active. So I put the Kabbalah sigils in my hair, right? So we got the 3 there, and then there's 2 back here somewhere, and then they in the beard, and then they all come up. So all of these are unconscious associations that flash in my face when I'm just doing shit. So it's always with me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm and that's probably why, because I put these shits in my hair paper. I made them, like I whittled them, and then I burned all of the sigils that have that have to do with all the Kabbalah sigils on them, and I stacked them up on my head. So when I meditate, I pull it all forward, and that's sitting there. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's what happened. You know what I'm saying? Because I put these things to elicit that. You know what I'm saying? And then a couple of days later, boom, I was in the Kabbalah, and it's like, fuck.
What a reminder that you're always in it.
Yeah. You're right. But it was good to see the activity. Like, you know, I tried to see it and I saw it, you know, so it made me feel, it boosted me up a notch.
Surrounding us.
Binding us. Flowing through all
The
these.
force binds us.
So, question, Travis, could it be a conflict if your spouse is not on the same path that you're on? I know that we on our own individual paths, but you know, as us being married in the same household and the different paths we're taking.
It depends on a few factors, right?
Mm-hmm.
It depends on your level of development and the other person's willingness. Because if your level of development, as far as having a social intelligence, if that level is low, there's going to be a clash. I knew there's a guy who, you know, he's been following me since a long time, and at the time he was married to a Christian woman, and he was getting into the Bobby and the panic and the dream wise and the melanin, the chaos, dark side, Travis Mages. He was all about that. His wife was a Christian. There was zero chance that she was down for it. And there was zero chance that he would compromise. So he would always message me lamenting right? He wanted out of the marriage. He just wanted to meet a girl who was into what he was into. But he kept trying to force it on her repeatedly. He's trying to like break, well, Jesus ain't really, and well, this, at that level of development, obviously it's not going to work out. But even if you do have a high level of social development, you can manage the situation. But I would say that now the focus is away from being a genuine relationship to now you're trying to, keep, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to keep things from being turbulent.
Mhm.
That's what I experienced recently. I made the decision to talk about the subject matter I talked about, knowing that there was a chance that she would not accept it. Now, could I have never brought it up? Yeah, we could still be together, but that's not exactly what I wanted. So I guess it can't work if the other person is open-minded and if the other person isn't trying to overstep boundaries and, force them to believe what they believe. Because there's been Jews and Muslims married, Christians and Muslims, you know what I'm saying? Like there's been different belief systems, but these are usually mature people, emotionally mature.
And there's even like the level of a master, right? So say if someone high level does meet a who's past the melanin and the chaos stuff, they meet a significant other who's like orthodox religious in their faith, then the true master will able to be able to finagle that. Like it'll, to their spouse, it'll seem like they're a biased Christian, but really on when they leave or something, or go out in the back shed and do the ritual, do your dharana. Or matter of fact, you could do all that. You could meditate on the cross with some chocolate sugar.
And that's a great point that you brought that up. So again, it would have to do with both, because in that relationship, because I don't know if y'all remember in Gareth Knight, A Practical Guide to Kabbalistic Symbolism, there was a chapter where he was talking about the different relationships, right? Brother, sister, mother, father, That one there would probably classify as like a guru disciple, even though they're lovers. With him being a master, anyone who's close to him long enough will have to be a disciple. But it all depends on the willingness.
Right. I'm with you though, Trav. It because my wife, she listens to me. She lets me go down there because I like to go down there and read stuff and explain it to her because I'm really explaining it to myself. So I've been doing that for years now. You know what I'm saying? And she didn't even realize that I've been on the path for as long as I have, because she was like, when she kind of like was taken back, she was like, damn, it's been 10 years. And I was like, yeah, babe. I was like, I've been walking 10 years. And she was like, damn, and you've been telling me this shit for 10 years. I was like, well, I haven't been really telling you this shit. I've been coming down there. I've been saying stuff that I'm doing, but I haven't forced anything on you because you had a perception of the world and you were entitled to it. So I didn't want to steal that from you. You know what I'm saying? But when you start to realize that your perception of the world might not be what you like or what you want it to be, then you will start to look for a better way. You'll start to look for a different way. And I'm right here. You know what I'm saying? I'm right over here. I ain't never forced my wife or anything. We live a really good life, and I was just able to like be mundane. You know what I'm saying? Like just live in my relationship, you know what I'm saying? But when the door opened up, just a crack, I made sure I kicked that motherfucker down.
Let me ask you this question, stepdaughter. So sometimes do you feel like she don't receive you because it's emotional attached? Like
say that one more time. You cut out on me. Sometimes
do you feel like she don't receive you because she's so emotional attached to you as a husband?
100%, bro. 100%, because she looks at me like I'm Stephen, I'm her husband, I'm her equal. Same thing with the people in your family. Like you'll go around and try to talk to your mom or something like that, and they'll just kind of give you the stink eye. But when the pastor come around and say something to her, she making tea and crumpets, got on her Sunday best and everything, and this motherfucker talking about bullshit. He trying to pull money out of her pocket. But it's that same concept. It's because they are very familiar with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And because a person is familiar with you, that familiarity was developed under certain circumstances, under certain conditions. And when they look at you, they can't see past those circumstances and conditions. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to keep on, like, you don't beat them up with it. But when there is opportunity to show a better way of thinking, that's when you hit them with what you got. And it don't got to be a lot. You know what I'm saying? You just it's course correction, just like you do a puppy. You know what I'm saying? If it's beating on, if it's chewing on your rug, you just pull it by the tail a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He'll chew on you, pull it by the tail, he'll get the point a little bit. He'll get the point eventually. You know what I'm saying? But it's the same thing, I think, from my opinion, and it was the same thing for me, because my wife is the one that actually put me on the path, because I was in the church. And when she started coming down and going to church with me, she was telling me how fucked up the whole process that they was doing in church was, because she could see all of it, but I was in the church. So when she started telling me those things, I started looking at it and I was like, oh, damn, that is fucked up. Oh, damn, I see that too. But she pulled me away from it just a little bit so I could see it a little bit better. It gave me a greater perspective. Then I realized it wasn't for me, because I started to see it for actually what it was instead of being in the center of it. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
Yes.
Prakriti illuminated Purusha about the knowings of Prakriti.
Well, I told my old lady, bro, she was like, I was like, this can be scary to some people. And she was like, no, I'm all right. I'm not scared. Man, how about that, man? She ended up running out of the damn room with tears in her eyes. And she came back. I was like, you sure you ready? She was like, yeah, I would much rather be on your side than on the side, because she can see the foolishness that's on the other side. And she said, I would much rather be on your side than on their side. And I said, well, if that's your answer, then you ready. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't force nobody down this shit, bro. That's impossible, man. That's why it's occultic. Because people cannot hear you. Literally.
No.
They can't hear you. It's not the fact that they don't want to. They can sit there and listen to every fucking word you said, and it's gonna be like you speaking Chinese.
Look. I had a friend.
Go ahead.
Okay, mine's quick. My cousin was telling me about one of our friends. My cousin is always trying to drop knowledge on him, but this guy, they was in the car, you know what I'm saying? They turned the music down, and he was trying to tell him, drop all this stuff on him about, da 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 da. That dude looked at him, sparked the thing up. Look, man, I hear what you're trying to say, but I'm not trying to hear none of it. He was done, and he let it be known. And you know what? I respect that. Because after taking so much of that information, he was like, look, man, I can't use that in this present state. I'm trying to finish this blunt and go back to what the hell I was doing.
And he didn't see the value in it. He didn't see that there was no value in that for him at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened to my old lady was that she saw the value in searching herself. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just a little, man, we had a pretty long conversation that night. We probably didn't even go to bed until about like 5, 6 in the morning. But yeah, like she was all the way open. You know what I'm saying? And I was fucking like, I couldn't shut up because she was so open. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that she was so open, I couldn't shut up because that was my opportunity. So I took it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, she didn't almost finished one book, and I'm finna hand her. We were reading the Kabbalah earlier because I'm giving her the basis. You know what I'm saying? Because it's crazy, man, to see, you know, because you don't get to see your process because you in it, but to see somebody else going through the process and to, you know, and you understand certain things because you've been in it for a long time. But, you know, when you're looking at somebody else, they're like a baby in it. You know what I'm saying? They're like, it's like a baby, you know, so they need the, you know, and it's good for you too, because you get to go back and do refreshers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm taking this opportunity to go back and reread all of this shit, man. I'm gonna throw every goddamn book together because I want to read them again. Hey, Ejects, man. Hey, another good thing that I found out, bro, that's gone, like if it happens that your wife and your sister decide that they want to be on the path, the good, a positive aspect of the familiarity is that when they do decide they want to listen to you, they're familiar with the way that you talk. So since that's the case, they'll be able to understand you and you'll bring them along a lot faster than you did because they're learning from somebody that they can relate to.
Okay.
Wait, Hakate, is that bottled spirits?
Yo, that's what I thought too. I'm like, she's trying to create some type of ritual,
She caught
disappearing.
an air elemental in a water bottle.
She got some dog treats. She got she got all this kind of stuff. What is this? Fire extinguisher? What is that?
No, it's not spirit. One of my students, when she graduated, she gave me the bottle. She's into energy herself. She gave me this one. So my, those little tiny lights that glow. This type of lights that
fairy
glow.
lights?
Yeah, these lights, the Christmas lights, whatever you call it. So she put it on the bottle. In the nighttime, it glows. I was already thinking about the demon that I'm gonna put on this one or the angel. I'm gonna put in this one already. This too.
Oh.
It's gonna be Krakriti. Krakriti. You guys don't know how to say it. I say it right. Krakriti.
Can't do all them rolls like that. Now we can't do all them rolls.
Krakriti.
Yeah, them rolls is hard, man.
Need some more lengua. Some more lengua.
Right.
Lengua juice.
No, just the lengua.
I need a taco before I say pretty.
Oh man. Let's see what else. I had something highlighted.
I had to ask myself what the hell I was doing the other night when I was reading the mystical Kabbalah because I looked up and the whole goddamn page was highlighted. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
This
here?
time around, it's impossible.
Yeah, bro. I had to ask that like 3 or 4. What the fuck am I doing here? Like what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to pull it like it was taught with Shooty. Highlight the whole page.
The whole damn page, bro. Like, goddamn, Dion.
Right.
Spread the shit out.
62 was it?
I did 59. Like from 12 and a half down to 15, it's over. That's a full yellow page.
Page 59?
59, yeah.
Let me see if I got that. Let me see if
Like
I got
every
that.
line is highlighted.
It's close in mine. It's close. Man, it's like 62, 63. It's like, goddamn, look at this shit, man. Look at this shit.
Hey.
Fucking ridiculous, bro.
I like the Kindle version.
Hell yeah. Then you got this condescending motherfucker up here. This is a spirit I made to search my books. And it brings me inspiration, but he condescending as a motherfucker because when he looking at me, he always talking bad about me because I'm not reading enough. So he's condescending, like every time I open the book, he got a bad attitude. But yeah, dude, this book is crazy, bro.
Started putting scents back in my book. And of course I put the my fruity flavor on the first page. So each time I open the book, I get a nice whiff.
Maestro.
Yes, sir.
I lost my fucking mind, bro. I told y'all about this shit. Look at that. Look at this shit, bro. Like, talking about smells, bro. Like, bro, this is just half of them too, bro. Like, they were like, I was like a kid in a candy store, but I got so many of these goddamn candles, bro. They were like They were like five. These right here were like $3, bro. Like they're regular $15. They were $3.
Yeah, I'd go ham too.
Yeah, I went ham. I mean, they all over there. They everywhere, bro. Candles
Moby in
everywhere.
the chat. That's all you. That's you all day.
What's that?
Oh, I said Mo B in the chat. She's really into candles as well. She was showing me that there was a sale on an online store and they had chicken and waffles.
Yes.
Yeah. Bed Bath and Beyond online store that's where I got all of this shit from. Then if you don't like the smell that they send to you, you can take it back to the store and exchange it for whatever.
What?
Man.
Hell yeah.
But to scrape like the top layer
yesterday.
of every candle off and make oils.
I just did that yesterday. I took 2 of them back that I didn't like the smell, and they just gave me what I wanted. They was like, "Yeah, pick two that you want, and we'll just exchange." So yeah.
Alora,
What's it?
are you familiar with a scent called Pink Sugar by Aquolina?
No, I am not familiar with such a scent. Pink sugar. Mm-mm.
Sounds really good.
No, I get into like the incense, so like the Noctrampa incense and all that kind of stuff, like frankincense, and sandalwood.
Frank.
I
You
have
like frankincense?
frankincense.
Really?
You know, I actually had
I do.
a great aunt who she did like Obeah or a Jamaican version of voodoo, and I never knew as a kid. I never really knew till she died, but like I'd always walk in her room and then it would just thick billows of smoke of frankincense in there all the time.
Yep, that and copal. I always clear out with copal, like copal and sage, and then I'll bring in other stuff. And so, yeah,
Those
I like
markers?
dragon's blood, myrrh.
Yeah, man. My wife got them for me for my anniversary.
Oh, when I was a kid.
Yeah,
Ate one.
Exactly. I love these motherfucking things. And I mentioned it one day and she went out and found them for me for my anniversary. So these are my highlighters now.
You do some crazy shit with those now.
Hell yeah. I was when she
Wait a
told me that
minute.
shit,
You said you using those for highlighters now?
yeah.
So the
That is
pages smell like that?
Hell yeah.
You get specific types of phrases with a grape scent or a lemon
Yeah, that's why it's
Yeah.
colored. That's why my page is colored
That's
like that.
so brilliant.
Yeah, that's why my page is colored. That's why it looks like that. Like it's all like I told you. That's why it's all over the place like that. It's like apple and banana and all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? So different things like had different smells. So I'll be smelling it while I'm reading and I'll be like, oh shit. And then I'll just highlight it with that smell. You know what I'm saying? Some of them are too dark, so I underline. But like the black licorice and the brown. Brown actually ain't really too dark, but the black is a little too dark, so I'll underline with it. But that banana, you can see that banana all over. That's my favorite.
That must be cool for memory. That's a
It
key.
is.
Right?
That's why I said I wanted them, because I realized how they used to do me when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? And it would just spark memory. So I said something to her about. I actually just said something, and I was like, I need to get me some of them scented markers. And man, she had them in the bag for me on my anniversary, man. So she did real good with that shit.
Hell yeah, that's amazing, man.
Yeah, so,
that's amazing.
Yep. So yeah,
I
it's all
wonder
over.
if you can. That makes me wonder too. Like next time you smell that scent, is that piece of information going to come to your head? You know, like
that's what I'm trying to trigger.
Are you going to now relate the scents? Because those scents don't actually smell like, but like when I smell a banana, when I smell an actual banana, it doesn't smell like that. However,
No.
when I see a banana, that scent is going to be remembered. So
Right.
I wonder if now every time like you see a banana, that paragraph is going to come up or something.
Yeah.
Like
But,
a pile of
it
bananas. It smells like the artificial
banana.
one.
It smells like banana taffy. So you can even get it with that, just getting you a piece of banana taffy and chewing it, and then all of those associations and stuff can come back. So I mean, it's there. You know what I mean? Like it's there. Hey, you know, I mean, I'm gonna test it out. You know, shit, I'm testing it out now, and I don't know, something happened. So shit, I like it.
Let's please again, as we converse about these subjects, keep track of the science, right? Memory is state dependent. That's the phrase. So, what is a state composed of? How do you trigger a state? How do you create a state? What is a state? What is a memory? If the memory that you're able to recall is based on a state, can you trigger a state with a smell? If so, we like what you were saying about time before, Alora, the fact that we acknowledge it after it's already happened. Is there a way for us to jump ahead of that process? Because if the unconscious mind lives in the present and the conscious mind lives in the past, maybe there's a way we can meet in the future.
The Jedi.
Oh,
Boom. The Sith. The Sith.
All force willed us. All force willed us. No matter if you dark wielding or if you light wielding, man. I'm pulling
Nah,
from both
man.
sides, bro. I'm pulling from both sides.
if you're
But I-
Sith, you can't be a Force ghost.
So you're saying enlightenment, right, Travis?
Shit, Vader was force ghost.
He was redeemed.
Shit, he was still a Sith. He went through the dark side. That means if he can do it, I can. Shit.
Well,
I wouldn't necessarily say enlightenment, Veronica.
Enlightenment. No enlightenment, alignment. To align
Oh, yes,
together.
yeah. Alignment, yeah.
Yeah, enlightenment is different. Yeah.
Because if we're looking at something in a different state, because the past, even time is how does the phrase go? Time is basically is based on perspective. So we're fractured. We find our consciousness fractured. The unconscious mind it doesn't see the conscious mind as separate. It's the conscious mind that sees the unconscious as separate. So this conscious mind is our awareness is focused on the conscious mind. So as long as we're focused here, we feel separate. But like you said, alignment, when we're able to become aware of the unconscious influences from the past, from the present, when we become aware of that, mixed with, that's the cause, mixed with the effect. If we bring cause and effect together, elementally, we transcend to the Akashic realm now.
Trav, can you say that again?
So because time is perspective based, the unconscious mind lives in the present, the conscious mind lives in the past. The conscious mind is the unconscious mind is fully aware of the conscious mind. It's the conscious mind that is not aware of the unconscious mind. So present and past, when we're able to come to a state where the conscious mind, because your awareness is attached to that conscious mind, when you take that awareness and also become aware of the unconscious cause of the conscious effect, you're combining cause and effect. That elementally takes you to the realm of Akasha. Because it's in Akasha. It's in Akasha that cause and effect unify. We learned that from Samkhya.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Trav. And after all these years, I think they're gonna come for you now.
You're gonna have to fly pretty high to catch me.
Hey, it's been coming from me here lately, man. Like, I heard you say you were surrounded by women. I am too. My whole family is women, bro. And I realized that all of the women in my family are traumatized by men. And they're not only traumatized by men, they traumatize boys. So they are traumatizers also. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And I realized that because there's a new baby in my family. My cousin has a baby, and it's crazy, bro. My cousin, it's crazy to watch this shit. My cousin, when she's around the younger people, us and my other cousins and stuff, she don't want to put her hands on her son. Her son is very rambunctious, right? He's just a 1-year-old baby. This is a 1-year-old fucking baby, bro. So when I'm on my call, buddy, I'll be down. So when she's around the young people, because I'm totally against putting hands on children. You don't have to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? But when she's around us and my vibration, she says, I don't want to put my hands on my son or whatever. And so that's the thing. When they're around, they just do that. And I'm around in that. But when they get around my grandma and the upper women, it's almost like, have y'all ever seen that movie Denzel Washington played called Fallen?
I'm aware of it, but I don't remember it.
Well, it was a demon that if you touched somebody, it would jump from one body from you to that body that they touched. And that I can literally see that shit in my family. One person pop off, the baby do something, and somebody get this spirit and hit the baby hand. Everybody after that takes a turn hitting this fucking baby, bro. This shit is sick. I have to leave because it triggers trauma in me. You know, because I was that child at one point. You know what I'm saying? So it triggers trauma. So I literally have to get up and leave because I just can't be around that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I can't be around. I can't say nothing to them because they are the elders. But there's no masculine. There's no man around. You know what I'm saying? Like my uncle's 50 and they treat him like he's 10. It's sad, bro. It's sad, and they wonder like, and then you get victim blame. Like my mom told me that a couple of weeks ago that me asking her questions about her Christian walk was aggressive and antagonizing. And I just asked her questions. All I was doing was asking her questions. I said stuff like, "Well, do you think it could be this, or could it possibly be that?" You know what I'm saying? I'm just asking. Trying to tiptoe. She told me that it was aggressive, bro. So
Listen, that's manipulation.
It is.
I have recurring patterns. I have recurring patterns of toxic females who display that kind of toxic behavior. And I didn't see it before. My baby mom was like that. Hell, I got a roommate like that. I wonder how far back it really goes.
Man, Trav, you hit the nail on it. I see it, Trav. It's manipulation. When anybody comes to you and they start a conversation with these two fucking words, you run. I feel. When they say that shit, get the fuck out of there. Get the fuck out of there, man. It's nothing but bullshit coming after that, man.
It's an emotional response. It's emotional response.
That's it. And they trying to color your reality with the way that they feel, with the way that they are processing reality right now. They're trying to color your reality with that shit.
Right.
Fuck that, bro.
Hey, before the science gets extrapolated, also there was an archetype brought up by Hecate for some time that matches what you guys were talking about. That is Lilith. Toxic femininity.
Yep.
Adverse feminine.
Yes. Yeah. And this displays perfectly also what I was saying earlier when the divine feminine, when the mother archetype, when she turns into that dark feminine, is when the masculine force isn't there. So now she has to take on masculine capabilities that are unnatural to her. So it comes out as this type of toxic behavior. So the example that I made earlier was if Buddhi, if soul never finds his father, the mother keeps him there, prisoner. The same way that your uncle is being treated by those women. That's the exact same relationship of us having to reincarnate. All those women treating him like he's a little baby, but he's a grown-ass man. In another lifetime, who knows what he could have been. But due to this karma, he's experiencing that toxic femininity. Oh my goodness. The only way to solve this problem it would seem, oh my goodness.
It's the other
Flashback.
female too need to step up. Like I had a situation happen with me today because typically I train with that really aggressive female, and so she looks to me, and I think a lot of people look at her and they see me and they associate us together as like a team almost. And so like I noticed today, one of my guys, we were talking about any time a guy, so just like context, very much toxic femininity kind of thing going on, or toxic female, I guess, behaviors. You know, anytime there's some kind of guy having some type of misunderstanding, this female like will make a threat, right? She'll be like, let me wait for you outside, motherfucker, you know, or like that kind of shit, like really aggressive. And and it's gross, right? Gross, like it's not okay. And so I was in a conversation today with someone about like and I was telling him, and we were talking about how some people don't want to take feedback, and I shared that one time I was with this guy and he kind of snapped at me like oh, I don't need you to tell me how to do it. And I was like, oh, well then do it. You know, then do the exercise. If you don't need me to tell you, then do the exercise. And and the guy, I could tell he was responding off of the other female, because he was saying, yeah, I bet you were gonna like kick his ass or something, huh? And I was like, no, not at all. I just inquired if we were a team or not, because I want to work as a teammate with people. I'm not here to get aggressive with them. And it set him back because he had associated me with this other female who had been portraying this very toxic type of behavior. So I think in those situations, it's up to the other females to put them in check, because, you know, as a guy, it's kind of like when you're telling someone about a cult, right? Like they're not going to be listening. It's up to very specific ears, right? And there's only going to be some information that's going to get passed. For females who don't look to men who don't see them as helpers or as the other half, right? They're going to see them as a threat instead. So I think that it has to be other females in order to call them out. Like that's and honestly, the only way you can call them out too, like I noticed with this female that really brought her.
Cut out, Laura.
She's in the unknown.
Every time she brings up some shit, I ignore it. Am I back? Am I back?
My back.
Oh my God.
But what do you do? What do you do? Laura, let me ask you a question, because I understand what you're saying about other females checking that behavior, because yeah, it's going to take the positive side to balance out that negative side. But what happens when that behavior starts at the top? Because my grandma, who is 82 years old, is right in the middle of the bullshit. Like she's literally like my wife won't even go over my grandma's no more, because a few weeks ago, my cousin's son was with us. Our sons are the same age, and he comes to spend the night over our house a lot. So we were over there at my grandma's house, and he don't like to be outside, but he likes to be in the house on the video game all the time. But my wife was like, y'all need some outside time, because they had been here with me, and she was in Memphis, and I let them do whatever the hell they want, because they away from me and I can be in my books. So so I let them do what they want. So they had been on the video game for 2 days, but when she came in, she started being mama, and she was like, y'all finna get off of these games and y'all finna start going outside and get some outside time. I don't care as long as they're away from me. But anyway, we went over to my grandma's house, and she had already told them that in the car. So when we got there, my little cousin started to whine, and he said that, you know, it was hot outside. He was making every excuse not to go outside. My son was outside having a good time. He was making every excuse to come inside and play the game. So my wife said, you going outside, I already told you. So she sent him back outside. My grandma and them have a problem with my wife because my wife is not built on the same archetype they are. My wife speaks her mind. All of them are very, very passive, super passive aggressive people, and none of them ever say anything up front. They all talk behind backs, right?
Yeah.
So my wife ain't like that. My wife confronts things right on. So she's always been like that. I've been with my wife for 18 years. So they've been getting 18 years of this. They cannot break her, right? So now they started to talk about her behind her back amongst each other, right? And typical. So my grandmother in this went outside and told Caleb to come inside. So when Caleb comes inside, my wife was like, hold on, Caleb, I told you to go outside. My grandma was like, I told him to come inside. This is my house. You see what I'm saying? And so my wife was like, so I'm sitting there because I'm just going to see how my wife handles this. My wife was like, oh, okay, cool. You right, me, Mom. This your house. But Caleb, when we get home, she was like, you got to go home with me. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, when we get home, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And so I went outside with my uncle in the backyard, and we were walking around to the front yard, and my grandmother was almost breaking her neck to get to my aunt's car to tell her what she had just did to my wife. Because they're like, it's like they're getting points. They're like getting points with each other.
Power move. Yeah, she was displaying territory.
Exactly.
She was saying, this is my territory, this is my realm. You are already excluded from my social group. And now you're trying to make rules in my territory? No, I already don't respect you. And I don't respect what you're bringing here. So I'm going to further exclude you by reaching my hand into this and having a say in it, which in the end affects the child the most.
It's the kid.
Because the child is not getting any consistency from their role models. And they need bad. Yeah, it's the kid that suffers. So I say, man, follow your wife. She did the right. You're not going to see me there anymore, man. You know, like I do that same. Someone else is already trying to make it a power struggle. You know, like that. I used to deal with. I dealt with a lot of kids, especially girls, who do the power struggle thing, where they want to get mouthy. They want to make your life a living hell. You know, just to have power over you. And if you get into that arguing with them, it's gonna it's never gonna work out because you're giving them exactly the attention that they want. Exactly. Whereas if you don't, but you remain strict with your own boundaries, then no matter what type of power move they throw, it's not gonna work in their favor because in the end, they're just going to be left alone with their own crazy rules, and you're going to be the more chiller one. That's like, man. Well, I'll see you later. So when you're done tripping, I'll see you later.
Let me interject.
Go ahead, brother.
So this is a really tough one, and I hate it. Like that passive aggressiveness, it is one of the trauma patterns that I am currently resolving in myself because I noticed I've got this pattern that's recurring in my life. And I noticed that when there are certain relationships that you continue to run into with certain people, it's not ever about the people. It's about a certain type of energy that you're holding on to. So I may not be around my family members, but if that energy is present, or let's say if that pattern is unneutralized within me, I'm going to seek someone else out to have it manifest. That's what I came to realize. Because before I was pointing at this person like, look what they're doing to me. I can't believe they're behaving this way. I literally saved your life, and this is how you're treating me. But then I came to realize, if this person is unconscious and not able to control their own behaviors, then it's me. I have a behavior pattern that I need to learn how to solve. So one thing that I do want to offer is, if you may have seen me put this book up before, but check this out. is called the soft answer, verbal Tai Chi for sociable self-defense. That passive aggressive toxic behavior, it can be insidious. And I know for me sometimes when it's done right by a skilled toxic woman, it can get under my skin, right? So what I'm learning is that instead of responding to that behavior, maintain your frame and know that there are ways to neutralize it where it's a win-win situation.
Right.
Here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I didn't maintain my frame before. What I'm saying was the way that I cope with that behavior is isolating myself, right? You don't deserve my presence, so you're never going to see me again. Well, that in a way is also passive aggressive. You can't fight passive aggressive with passive aggressive, right?
Right. You can you can stay out of their territory. If she wants to mark that as territory, or someone wants to do that, you know, mark something as like theirs. You know, you can see it as, okay, then that's your thing. But this is my situation here. I'm not here to like to create any type of, you know, there's going to be tension, okay, but I'm not going to get into this battle. Like, I don't have to battle things out here. And that's a really difficult thing for myself to get through, because like I'm one of those people that's like why can't we be friends? You know, like, why don't we be friends? Yeah, like, gosh darn it, let's just hug it out. What the heck? Like, let's talk about this, you know? And I like feedback, and I like giving feedback, and I like that exchange, because we get to expose each other and that kind of stuff. But if you're getting just straight attacked, like, man, yeah, I think whole half of the family that we don't really talk to because they're vicious with it, you know. It's like you just kind of, I mean, so yeah, I think your wife did the right thing. I think your wife handled things really well, and she also knows there is a structure inside. Like, not to say that like, oh, females are definitely different from males, but there is a specific social structure that happens in those kind of cliquish areas. And your wife probably knows more about that situation, so she's probably acting accordingly. Like, sounds like she's doing what I would probably.
Yeah, and we talked about it a bunch, and I told her I don't fault her at all, but I still got to go around, and it's, if she's not around, it's directed at me. Like, they don't come at me because I'm very powerful within my space. If y'all seen me, y'all would understand what I'm talking about. I'm 6'6", I'm 305 pounds. Like, I'm the guy, like, I was just in Home Depot yesterday, and the dude was just staring me up and down. He was like, man, you big as hell. And I was like, I know, brother. But anyway, I go around still, you know what I'm saying? She's not around, but I still go around because I help my grandmother, I help my mom and all of that. And they ask about my wife, and I just say, she's at her house. You know what I'm saying? A nod to the things, you know what I'm saying? But I just make sure when I'm around, I am just legs and arms, no brain. So if they ask me to do something, I do it. But I have nothing to add to the conversation at all. That is from me.
Right.
If I am asked a question, I will elaborate on the subject, but I am just legs and arms. So, you know, because I don't even want to deal with it. Because like you said, if you get into the behavior, if you get into the argument, that's their realm. So you're fighting the losing battle. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know what I'm saying? You can't argue somebody else's opinion if you don't believe their opinion. It's like if you start arguing within their opinion, they are automatically winning because they got you to come on their side and start to talk about their subject matter.
Right.
So that's what I'm just legs and arms, bro. That's it. Legs and arms. Because that's my family. And I'm gonna go around my family. You know what I'm saying? But my wife is not required because she is married in. You know what I'm saying? She's not required. She's in here because of me, not because of them. You know, So yeah, that part, man, it's crazy though.
Yeah, it gets vicious.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, and you know, Trev brought this up, and I think this is a part of my own also kind of behavior, that when I was working in behavioral health, it was different because you have to deal with the conflict head on, which is great training. But naturally, I'm inclined to avoid conflict. So I have a thing where I'll, like, my bad habit when it comes to that is I'll just be like, fine, bitch, peace, you know, and and I'll just like head out. And it's like and so that's another thing where it's like, yeah, distancing is good, but you also have to make sure that you are maintaining, like he just said, like that you're maintaining your frame about it, that you also understand that, like, by me separating myself, I'm not separating myself in the sense that, like, I'm never going to be around this, or I'm not going to I'm not going to be able to maintain my boundaries when I'm around this person or anything like that. It's like, you can hold your own and not have to be present for all of the toxicity. Like, you don't have to take all of that in, you know,
Right.
like all that. You don't got to be there to take that in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also don't need to run away from it.
No, and I don't, because it's not, they'll send it. I mean, they send it hard too, man. And they got enforcers too. So if you got like, my uncles are enforcers, they're female men. You know what I'm saying? My uncles, they're female men, and they're the enforcers of the women. So if anybody gets out of line, they'll send the enforcers. So this happened to me when my son was a baby. And my mama bought my son a gown, a sleeping gown, when he was a newborn baby. And I wouldn't put it on him because I'm like, it's my son. He's not going to wear a gown. I don't care how old he is. And so she told my grandmother, because this is a hierarchy, and they move these things up the ladder. And so she told my grandmother, who is the ultimate authority, right? And so my grandmother, I was visiting from Memphis. And so my grandmother was like, boy, you better put that damn gown on that boy. And I said, me mom, with all due respect, this is my son. And what I say goes. I said, I'm grown. And she said, I'm sick of you saying I'm grown, because that was my go-to. I'm grown. And she was like, I'm sick of you saying I'm grown or whatever. And I told her, and as soon as she said that, I said, well, me, mom, I apologize, but with all due respect, my opinion matters to me. And I told my wife, I was like, get the kids shit, we out of here. So my truck was at the shop getting a tire put on. So my aunt was supposed to take me up to the shop. So my uncle comes in with his wife, and he's a little drunk. And he asking what's going on. And I don't say nothing, you know what I'm saying? My aunt telling me not to say nothing to her. And so I don't say nothing. So I'm like, I gotta go. I'm like, Shaka, you gonna take me to go get my truck? And she like, yeah. And he like, oh, we'll take you. And so she pulled me in the back room, and she like, yo, don't say nothing to him about what go on. I'm like, okay, cool. So we get in the car, my aunt driving, I'm passenger seat, and he in the back seat. So the whole time he asking me what went on. And I'm like, man, I'm cool, man, I'm cool. So finally, when we pulling into the tire shop, I finally tell him what went on. And he called me a disrespectful motherfucker, right? He called me a disrespectful motherfucker, right? And I was like, man, what the fuck you talking about disrespect? I was like, man, you've been doing this shit since I've been alive. And he was like, man, fuck you. And he shifted in his seat real hard. So I turned around, because I'm, you know how it is, Laura, man, when you do, you know how it is anyway. So I turned around in my seat because I didn't know what he was doing. So my aunt she was coming to a stop. So before she even stopped the car, I jump out the car and I closed the door, and I closed it hard. And he like, motherfucker, don't slam my door. So I opened that motherfucker up again, and I yammed that bitch. You know what I'm saying? I almost broke the window. And so he get out, and he looking up at me because he about 5'9". I'm like I say, I'm 6'6", and at that time I was about 325 pounds. I was fresh out of the league. I was a jacked. You know what I'm saying? And so he look at me, and this is the worst thing you can do to me. He gives me that dismissive push. You know how you push somebody and you turn around like they not worth your time? You know what I'm saying? So he gives me that dismissive push to my chest and was like, fuck you. And so he turns around to go back to the car, and I grab him by the back of his head and his shoulder, and I pushed this motherfucker so hard that he hit the ground and rolled, because that's what I did for a living. I pushed men around. You know what I'm saying? And I pushed 300-pound men around. So throwing him was like a feather. So I just threw this motherfucker like 5 feet and he rolled. So he gets up and he starts throwing punches at my face. And every punch was like slow as hell. I could see it coming. So I'm just dodging. And my aunt jumps out the car and she trying to make her way around the car. And she talking to me. She like, Stuffy, just go. And I'm like, Evie, get your husband. And every time I'm telling him, because I don't want to hurt him because he got to go to work. And I got this mindset. It's crazy. I'm thinking this dude got to go to work. I don't want to fuck him up. He got to go to work. And so I'm like, Evie, get your husband. So I'm backing up, dodging his punches, right? He throwing punch after punch. So she get in front. She's like, Stuffy, just go. And so she gets over there and she's like backing me up, and he takes her and throws her to the side into the car. And that's when I stopped, right? And he threw another punch. I caught his fist in midair. I yanked him, spent him around like a pirouette, and I threw his ass back down on the ground on his back. And I knocked him out a little bit because his eyes rolled in the back of his head, because he hit his head on the ground. And so then now I'm the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? So now they don't send their enforcers at me anymore, is the whole point of this conversation. But they use the emotion now. You know what I'm saying? They use the emotion now. They use the, I feel like you being aggressive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because now they know how to cut you, because they knew what threw you off and how you reacted. So now they know, now we can fuck him up emotionally. Now we're going to remind him of this and then relate it to his everyday behavior. So now he becomes the perpetrator. Yeah, like now you're the
victim blaming. Yeah, I'm aggressive now. So I understand. I get it. I get where I'm supposed. I'm the Tipperitic figure in my life. I'm the sacrificial lamb. I'm the goat. You know what I'm saying? I'm the goat, man. I'm the greatest. So it's all gonna come at me. What'd you say?
I mean, I feel you. I think as long as you choose it, like when I react to people like that, the thing that helped me the most, but it's different because you got family that and for my family, they started leaving me alone when I stopped talking to them. But then B also, they would try to tell me something and I'd just be like, nope. And they'd be like, and they'd go, well, why aren't you listening to me? And I said, well, when you are doing something, you'll have my full support, but I'm going to keep doing what I do. And they just they cannot budge me on that. And then they had to leave me alone. I don't ever get their approval and I don't ever get their respect. I don't get invitations to go to stuff. I don't get, nothing like that. And I don't crave it, but they also know what they're going to get from me. It's consistency. Nope. I don't care. You can tell me whatever you want. I don't care. I'm going to do my own thing. I'll see you later. Thank you for your input. It's going nowhere. Bye. and stopping it when it comes in, there's nowhere for it to go, but back to the person who delivered it. There's nowhere for it to go. So that's how I handled my family stuff. And then I stopped. And then, I just stopped going and, we're all relieved. But it makes it difficult when you have such an intense history there. And then they're holding on to that as leverage. So, that's hard. I mean, I think just maintaining your frame and just being I think y'all are doing the right thing. Just staying respectful, but at the same time, just strict. No, we're not going to do that. No. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. So you think that's how it's supposed to go? Okay, cool. Thanks. Bloop, bloop,
Yeah. And you can see and I can see, man, it's crazy. I got a question for y'all. Do you think, because I seen this, somebody had a video online They was like, do you think becoming too self-aware can drive you insane? And because I can see this shit, like, because my mom, right, my mom hadn't been over to my house in about a year, right? I live literally 5 minutes away from my mom. So she got this sound bar for her 30th anniversary at her job. She's been at her job for 30 years. And she got this JBL sound bar that's like this $1,500 sound bar, right? So she's giving me her old. So yesterday I called her because she wants me to come hook it up. So I called her and I was like, you at home? I'm gonna come hook it up. And she was like, no, I'm not at home, but you can just key in, you got a key. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I would rather you be at home. And she was like, boy, just go over there and get that so you can get your sound bar. And I was like, no, I'm good. I was like, I'm gonna wait for you to get it at home. And she hung up on me, right? So she hung up on me. So today, right, I'm across the street at my neighbor's 4th of July party. She calls me. She ain't been in my house in the years, and I didn't invite her over here. She just don't show up. So today, all of a sudden, she calls me and tells me she wants to come see my solar panels on my house. I already know what it is.
Oh man.
I already know what that is. You know what I'm saying? But that's the problem that I'm having, is because they keep trying to pull me back in. You know what I'm saying? And I'm cool because I don't object to anything. I like I say, I'm arms and legs. So I was like, yeah, Mom, come on over. You know what I'm saying? So she came over. I gave her a full tour because she ain't seen the house. Like I say, in the whole year, and the house didn't change completely. And I'm just like, I'm oblivious to any of the shit that they do. It's like they don't even do it no more. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, if you ignore the shit, they gotta look at that shit for themselves.
Yep.
That shit is brilliant too, man.
That's what happens because it goes nowhere.
Nowhere. It ain't got nowhere to go. You're right. 100%. Because you got to continue the vibration. You know what I'm saying? You got to continue it, and you bounce it back on them. It's like playing ping pong. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna pass it to you, and they waiting on your reaction so they can react back.
Well, and you know what's funny too? Like when they try to push it back, right? They try to push it to you, but you're like, nah, it's not gonna go nowhere. And then they get sent with it. I have a theory that the reason why they don't want to continue seeing you afterwards, it's not just because you're not giving them the response that they want, but it's because they literally have to look at the shit they just flew at you, and it just landed right there in front of them. And now they have to look at a pile of shit. Like,
right,
people are going to project shit, so then they don't have to look at it. But if there's nowhere for that shit to go, they're just stuck in a pile of their own shit. And they don't want to keep looking at that.
Yep. Now my grandma asked where my wife is because I was over there a couple of days ago. She was like, where Alicia at? Like I said, she at her house. Like I throw that shit in there all the time. It's so petty, but I love it. It's so petty.
Based on what happened that last though.
I don't even make it like that though, Trey. I don't even say it condescending or anything like that. She's like, where's Alicia at? I'm like, oh, she's at her house, Mimo. Just like that. No condescending or anything. I just say it just like that. And she has to think about them words that she said. It's my house. So I say, she at her house, Mimo. That's all I say. So
yeah,
I don't know if she catch it. But maybe
she probably does.
Maybe, yeah.
She probably does. If that's one of the things she's holding against her, she probably does. Man, it's amazing the things that certain people who are like will remember, man. Like I've had female, and I'm only using references to females just because these are my experiences with females, not so much as males. But not saying that doesn't happen. But yeah, for sure. But my experience, but I had an experience where, I had a female doctor who I was working at a crisis center with. She had never seen my face before. She didn't know my name. her coworker was a really mean person, and this coworker was like screaming at me on the phone one time, saying that I didn't know about my job. It was about an appointment, right? Because she wanted this one doctor to have an appointment with this client. Then I was like, no, that doctor isn't assigned to her. And then all of a sudden it became a screaming thing. And so I told that coworker, like, hi, I am now reporting you to your supervisor. This is not going to occur again. And that was a very like intense interaction, right? And so I had to write to the supervisor, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff. Well, like months and months and months and months later, this female doctor who was in the room with the screaming coworker, but had no relationship to me, remembered the event, put my face to it, and called me over to start telling me how to do my job, because she's a provider and she has a right to talk to these clients when she wants to. And I was like, bro.
All right.
Yeah. And so it ended where I was just like, this is how we do things at this agency. You have to be assigned to this client in order for it to work out. Now, if you have an issue with that, you can go ahead and call one of these managers about it. Okay. That's what I've been trying. That's what I would like to explain to you. And then she was like, so I didn't give her the response she wanted, right? I wasn't like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I just told her the protocols, and that if she has an issue, she could take it up with the manager. And so in response, one of the guys comes to pick me up, and she goes, oh, I want you to be really hard on this girl. Be really hard, like as a joke in front of me. And so I just responded by saying, well, you push me, I push back, and it's just going to be really nasty. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to be civil with each other. How about that? And she turned away and walked away. Like, that was it. But as
Like
I'm
a child.
Yeah. Like a child.
By the way, another thing I wanted to mention, because what we are touching on is something that will be a part of this shadow working course, that if you don't know, the doors are now open to sign up. Click the pinned link in the chat. But there is going to be a section about emotionally immature parents and the children that are a result of having emotionally immature parents, and what it's like when you live your life as an internalizer. We start to develop these habits where we don't ask for help because we don't want to burden people. I know that's behavior. I have never asked my parents for money. And now that I think back, I think it's because of that issue where they spent, cash money for my tuition. I think things might have been said that I blocked out of my memory, but I came out of there feeling like a failure, and I never asked them for money ever. I would rather eat ramen, which I hated still because I didn't get over it yet, than ask my parents for money. But that's one of the traits of an internalizer, right? There's a lot. When I say inner child, like I said, it's not just about hugging yourself in the mirror, which you can do, and that's fine. When I talk about this inner child, what I'm talking about is what your parents raised, because your parents didn't heal their traumas. Unless you came here with some good ass karma, your parents, they had some trauma for you to inherit. So when I talk about the inner child, I'm talking about identifying that your parents were human beings. They might have been emotionally immature, and how that affected your development. But in any case, as I mentioned before, I didn't, if you signed up and you went ahead and tried to book your first meeting, it may have said no books, no dates booked. That's because I didn't finish setting up my calendar. I'm about to go do that now. So don't fret. Everything else is all right. Completely under control. And hopefully, if you can, go ahead and schedule your meeting sometime within the next week, because I'd love to hear from you personally and see where your mind is at, where your heart is at, and just kind of get an idea for what we're going to be working through. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you every single day. I appreciate you today. Those of you who signed up for the course, those of you who didn't sign up for the course, those of you who are still thinking about it. What you do has no bearing on your value to me. I love you all regardless. But I do appreciate those of you who decided to take that step forward, because it isn't just for me. You're doing this for yourself. You're definitely doing this for yourself and for those you love. Because like what I just said, your parents had unhealed trauma. They gave it to you, right? And if you don't heal that trauma, you're giving that trauma to the next child or to the people around you. So this is a gift, right? This is a gift to me. Like, I'm grateful that I even found this information, learned this information. I'm able to use this information. So I hope you have a good night. I'm about to bounce out so I can finish working on the setup here. Once again, I appreciate you all. I appreciate you if you signed up for this class. Appreciate you if you didn't. Thank you for being the wonderful soul that you are. But you should probably sign up for the class if you didn't. All right, everybody.
Peace, everybody.
Peace.
Peace, Travis. Peace, everybody.
Peace. Looking forward to some exciting times.
Yes, sir.
Peace, Hikate. Peace, Tashika.
No, I'm saying peace to him. He's living. I'm like, peace.
All right, everybody. Like I said, if you didn't watch the earlier recording, go back and watch that. We dropped some nuclear fire. Like I said, also the shadow working class that I've been talking about for about a month. It is now, the doors are now open. The early bird special is now, right? The fast action special is now. And what that is you're getting a 45% discount off the price. Because you have been an early supporter, because you all have shown interest in this course before it was even out. So in a way of saying thanks, we're going to do this 45% off. And if you purchase within the next little bit less than 24 hours, there's a countdown so you can see. If you purchase within the next 24 hours, you're going to get 3 strategy calls with me, 3 consultations where number 1, we're going to set up where you are and figure out where you're trying to go. Number 2, we're going to check your progress, maybe about 2 weeks in. And then the third meeting, we are going to really make sure that you are able to integrate what you've learned. All right. The cost alone for that is the price of the course, because I usually charge, a lot more for my consultations. So it would behoove you to take advantage of this deal before it leaves, and you don't want to be kicking yourself because you missed it. So I hope y'all have a great night. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX 777. I love you all. Peace.